Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking to you about my top 10 picks for books in 2016. Now keep in mind that all of these books were written in 2016. They're either just books that I've reread this year or read for the first time this year and I think are amazing and I'd really like to share with you. Hopefully I can help some of you guys if you're having trouble picking your next book to read. So sit back and just relax, enjoy the video. First up, we have The Crucible by Arthur Miller. Now, I'm not saying these books in any particular order. I think they're all great. But this is a play written in 1953. And it's based on true events of the Salem witchcraft trials. It's based on a true trial. I think it's a great book. I think it's important to read these historical books that teach us a little bit about our past and what humans are really capable of in these moments of mass hysteria. Some of you probably read this in high school. I think it's great. And in Arthur Miller's words, I believe that the reader will discover here the essential nature of one of the strangest and most awful chapters in human history. I think it's a must read. So next up, we have Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. And this was written, I believe, in 2013. It's really just a cute love story of two 16-year-olds who meet at school. The girl, she kind of feels like the misfit. She doesn't feel like she's the most beautiful girl there, yet Park falls in love with her through music. And this is really just a cute young adult read. I haven't met anyone yet who hasn't fallen in love with this adorable story. So if you're feeling like something a little more lighthearted, I think this would be the perfect book for you. So now we have The Curiosity by Stephen P. Kiernan. Now if I had to pick an absolute favorite, this would be my second. But anyways, it's a great novel. It's very heavy though, so be prepared for that if you decide to read it. But it's a mixture of science and romance. It's about a man who basically gets de-thawed. In the present world, he was frozen in an iceberg and he gets thawed, and this woman begins to fall in love with him, but he only has a limited time to live, and it's just amazing, and I definitely think you should read it. So here we have Watchmen, written by Alan Moore, illustrated by Dave Gibbons, and the coloring was done by John Higgins. Now this was originally published in 1986. And I believe it was published in separate comic forms, around 12 of them. But now I guess this is technically a graphic novel, but it's amazing. I probably read this in the last year from when I was first introduced to it. I've probably read it about 3 times, and every time I read it, there's some little detail that I missed out on the first time, and I notice it, and it's just so amazing, and it's inspiring, and it's a question on humanity. And now if any of you have seen the movie, I personally don't really like the movie, so I suggest that you take a look at the graphic novel because the level of detail is insane and it's captivating, even if you're not someone who usually reads comics like me. Anyways, take a look. The next book is A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. This book was published in 2007, and it's from the same author who wrote The Kite Runner. I personally preferred this story to The Kite Runner, as you can see by the tattered copy in the video clip. But it's a beautiful story of 2 different women living in Afghanistan, Lila and Mariam, and they live very different lives, but they eventually intertwine. And it's a story on war, on oppression, on questioning beliefs, questioning authority. I think it's beautiful and definitely worth a read. Here we actually have an autobiography, so the autobiography of the face, and it's Lucy Greeley's story. She tells the story of her childhood after having experienced cancer, where she had to remove part of her jaw, but it's not a story of cancer and disease, it's a story of the after, what happens after you go through the surgery and you're trying to get back to your normal life. I'm realizing now a lot of these stories are so sad, but I guess I do read lighthearted ones too, but I guess, when it comes to favorites, these ones with a little bit more depth tend to be the ones I gravitate towards. But this is a great story, it's very inspirational, and I'm posting a video soon of a poem I did on the book. that I was inspired to write based off of the book. So you guys keep in tune for that video. It should be coming pretty soon. So next up, we have a classic, which I'm sure most of you have read, Macbeth by Shakespeare, of course. So this play, I don't think I need to say much about it, but it's great. And I'm someone who doesn't usually like Shakespeare all that much. So, and I love this. I really do. I love this play. So I suggest that you take a look at it if you haven't yet. Most of you probably already have an idea what the story is, so I'll just leave it at that. Take a look though. It's great. This next book is called Ignorance by Milan Kundera. Again, a great book. In terms of plot and story, not much happens. It's more a question on the emotions you feel when you've left your homeland for so long and you return to find that you don't feel at home anymore in that homeland, but you never felt at home abroad. So it's kind of a book on finding your place in the world after you've been gone from home for so long. So now we've reached my all-time favorite author, Kurt Vonnegut. Definitely read his books if you have not yet. I am in love. I have about 5 of his books. I've read most of them at least 5 times. These I just picked 2 for these 10, the 2 that I find are my favorite. So here, Breakfast of Champions. I don't even know how to start explaining his books. They're kind of crazy and all over the place, but have so much meaning in them. It's about a writer, Kilgore Trout, which is actually a character that appears in some of Kurt Vonnegut's other stories, which is what I find very cool. They all intertwine, and some of their characters throughout his books, they all intertwine. But basically, it's the story of this author kind of going through his midlife crisis. Well, not the author, but a character in the book is going through a midlife crisis. I don't know, it's just great. I can't even explain it, but it's a satire, and it questions, brings up questions of war, sex, racism, politics, success, pollution, climate change, and it helps us remember how, to see the truth in society. And then we have Slaughterhouse-Five, which you may have read in high school. Again, it's a satire, has black humor in it, and it's basically on the character Billy Pilgrim and him dealing with his PTSD after the war. But these books are crazy. Like, his style of writing is insane. It's all over the place and it's crazy, and you think nothing makes sense, and then you stop and you think about it after you've laughed at the jokes that you shouldn't have laughed at, and you realize that the book is amazing. And it's another one of those books that you just keep rereading and you find more and more details that you didn't spot the first time. So it's definitely worth a read. Definitely. At least try to read one of his books. I think they're amazing. Lastly, I would just like to thank you guys for watching. I hope I helped you learn about some new books that you hadn't heard of before. If you have any suggestions for books I should read based off of these, or that you just enjoyed in the past, please leave a comment below. Let me know if I mentioned any books that you love or that you've read and you hated even. And sorry also for the sad music in the background. I realize it's a little sad, but it's my favorite song to listen to as I'm reading. It's called Clair de Lune. I'll leave the information about that down below as well. So make sure to check out my other videos if you enjoyed this. Bye guys. Happy reading.